Well, first of all, they'll most likely have just regular attire. They'll have a census badge and be handing each individual a confidential information flyer. Now, this confidential information flyer will give you more detail in regards to, the census and why it's important in protecting your information. But also, if anyone has any questions, they can call our recruitment hotline, which is 1-866-861-2010, and then they'd be able to assist them that way as well.
Great. So, and I want to make sure I understand this. So, as a resident here in Hutchinson, will I fill out my census via a mailed survey, or will I do it somebody coming to my door?
Well, that all depends. That all depends because what we want is every individual to fill it out themselves. Or Mark mentioned earlier that the county had a 72 mailbox response rate. Now, the state average was a 71. Now, if we can increase our first initial mailbox response rate by 1% nationally, we save roughly $80 to $90 million. So, with that said, we want everyone to get the form that they have, the very first form, fill it out, take 10 minutes. We want to be as less intrusive as possible. We understand individuals are coming home from work, tailoring to their family needs, maybe even watching their favorite soap opera. And I don't want to keep anyone from watching their favorite soap opera. So it's 10 minutes that takes, or 10 questions that takes 10 minutes for 2010. What we want to do is for them to take those 10 minutes, fill it out, send it in. Now, I'm not saying that an individual is not going to be going to their household, but I'd rather send individuals to their household for quality assurance rather than to get their first initial form and then also with the possibility of getting the second form.
Yeah, and the timeline, it's my understanding, Eloy, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but most of us have already received a kind of a very large postcard in the mail that your census questionnaire is coming. Then the questionnaire will be sent, and there is a date for which people have to fill out the questionnaire, and if it's not filled out by that date, then at that point canvassers start fanning out to identifying those who did not fill out the census form and getting the information.
Great.
And we also we're making a great effort in order to make sure everyone is educated about filling out their form. And if they have any questions, we're going to have questionnaire assistance centers and be counter sites. A questionnaire assistance center is a location in which an individual can go in to a certain location and get their questions answered. If it may be just they may have a reading problem or a language barrier, or they just have a question in regards to the form, they still have to fill it out. And they can get their questions answered there. Now, we also have phone numbers where individuals can call in and get their questions answered as well, whether it be English, Spanish, Arabic, Vietnamese, etc. So we're trying to we are making a great effort in order for everyone to be educated enough and knowledgeable and informed about where they can get their questions answered.
And Eloy, you're a partnership specialist out of the Kansas City office, and so you're working with several counties in Kansas, in the region, and there are people like yourself all over the country doing this very, very thing. Is that? Yes.
Currently here in Kansas, we have about maybe 4 or 5 partnership specialists that take care of all the counties within the state of Kansas. And Kansas does have the most counties out of any state in the United States. So roughly I take care of 39 counties, which include everything all the way up from Salina and everything west of Salina. But one of the things is that we are working with communities, we're working with local government, the media, the schools, and faith-based organizations in order to ensure that everyone is informed about the census. We want to make sure that no one, as of April 1st, does not know about the census and how it affects their community. The school lunch and breakfast programs are affected. Medicaid is highly affected. So there are different things that individuals just aren't aware of that have an effect on their everyday lives. If we want to fix these roads, we want to make sure that we have enough money from the state and the federal government to fix these roads. So there's a lot of different ways that the census does affect every individual, and we want to make sure that they fill out their form.
Yeah, great, great. And I've been reading kind of just through the newspapers over the last maybe 30 days about census workers and you know, the ability to attract census workers to help with this process here in Reno County. How is that going nationally or maybe locally here? Are we good with that? Do you need census workers that maybe we can encourage some people to get in contact with the right people?
Yes, we still are looking for census workers. Now, it's just not census workers that we're looking for. There are numerous positions that are available. Everything from census clerks to census takers to recruiting assistants to or to also distribution recruiting assistants, census supervisors. So there are different positions available. But the first thing that they need to do is call our 1-866-861-2010 number and set up for a basic skills test. The basic skills test is basic math, basic reading, basic writing, and we just want to know that there's a proficiency there in order for us to have these individuals go out into the community. And there is a background check involved in this, so we want to make sure that the individuals going to your household are also safe. And in doing so, we want to hire from within Reno County, within Hutchinson, or wherever they live. And if anyone knows anyone that lives in a surrounding community, we want to make sure that they also know that there are jobs available for them. Because I'd rather hire from within, let's just say Hutchinson, because that's not only safer for the community, but it's also safer for the local census worker, because they know where the local little Chihuahua dog is going to come out and bite their heels.
Got the local knowledge.
They got the local knowledge.
Like the mailman, he knows where the dogs
He
are.
does, doesn't he?
Yeah, so. But, well, you know, and I think maybe we can just kind of talk about our responsibility as a community and as a county, really, to do what we can to ensure that we get an accurate count. Because I know from my perspective in city government, it is important as we compete for dollars for infrastructure projects, various grants. And so, and I think our committee, Mark, you've been involved with that, has really taken on that responsibility.
Exactly. And we've had a lot of fun with it. It's really good to see the community pull together in one common goal. And this is a pretty pure goal. And let's get an accurate count of our population.
Yeah.
Okay. And what does that population look like, so that when we request federal funds, whether it's for Siemens project, certain aspects of that they use census data. Down in Pretty Prairie, they had a lagoon project that used some census data. Education uses it a lot for you know, some of those populations.
Yeah.
It's just good to get who are we and where are we going, and we find that out by looking at the past.
Yeah, and it's an excellent point. And one of the things in my history in local government, I've heard cities, you know, going back to 10 years ago with the last census, that, well, that number doesn't seem right. We're bigger than that. Well, I think our role now is to do what we can to work very hard to ensure that we get an accurate count. Exactly. So at the end of the day, we're not saying, well, I'm not sure I agree with that. And so I think we're well ahead of the game in that area. So, any other thoughts that either of you want to share or talk about in terms of kind of where we're headed and what this process is all about?
Well, I'd like to just say that this is a count of every individual within the United States, but even further looking, or going more off of that, is that this is a celebration for our communities. This is a way in which many entities, many organizations who may not have the opportunity to work together because of what they do, the opportunity to work together on one common goal, and that is the benefit of our community. We want to make sure our community is properly counted so that we have the statistics in order to ensure that our communities thrive.
And that is a good point. Our common goal is to get an accurate count, and we're working hard to try to make that happen. So I really want to thank both of you all for being here today and talking about this very important topic for not only our country, but for us right here in Reno County, to ensure that we get an accurate count.
Thanks for having us in. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Community Cafe, The Inside Dish. And I hope that you'll join me and many others in Reno County to do what we can to make sure that we get an accurate count for our area, Reno County, and Hutchinson, Buehler, Haven, just all of Reno County.